I had an amazing interview with Jenny Keen, and she is an artist that built her art career from the ground up. She started with 0 followers and now built a following over 320,000 combined. But yeah, that wasn't always her reality. She went through art school where she actually lost her confidence, brought up 4 kids, battled huge limiting beliefs and trauma, and then rebuilt herself completely. And in a few years, she built a huge following. Her print drops are completely sold out every time she does it. She sells big commissions and paintings for high prices, and yeah, has a global audience. If you're an artist stuck, listen to this interview because I think it will give you so much insights of what you can do to get to the next level. Welcome, guys, to a new podcast or interview with Jenny. She's an amazing artist and her story is pretty impressive. So I wanted to bring her on and just talk about her story, like how she came to art and the things she's achieved. So Jenny, why don't you introduce yourself and maybe tell us like how did you even get into art? Like what's your story?
Oh gosh. Well, hi, I'm Jenny Keen. And what I currently do is I currently paint skies. And they're about the kind of peace and abundant sort of expansiveness that you can find in nature. And that's really why skies are really appropriate for me because they just go on forever, you know? I have always been an artist, really. I've always known that I wanted to be an artist, like from a very young point in childhood. I told everyone that I was an artist, and that was it. You know, but I think it can take a while to really believe that you can actually do it professionally, can't it? You know, and
Mhm.
so I went to like an art boarding school, and I went to an art school, and this whole thing. I did the whole track, but I actually found that in art school is really useful in a lot of ways because I got a lot of time to work on my art, but I learned so many limiting beliefs in art school. It was completely out of control. So after I finished there, I ended up moving to the UK immediately after graduating because I was in love with this lovely man. And
Yeah.
he's my husband now. So that worked out. That was really cool.
Congrats.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And so, but art-wise, I it took me a while to find my way. I definitely tried every semi like any kind of creative job, day job I could have, and tried to kind of make my art on the side, but it was really difficult for me. So I was worked as a professional photographer. I got a PGCE and became a school teacher. I taught art in school, and I did a bunch of things, but ultimately it wasn't until I became a stay-at-home mother that I think that my sh focus really sharpened. And that was when I was like, okay, like if I'm gonna do this, I have to do it. Like I really have to do it. And so there was a time. See, the thing is in my background, I think this is the story that you're referring to. In my background, my family, I had a difficult time growing up. We had a messy divorce, and my father is a narcissist, and so I learned out of survival to take care of everybody else. And I didn't think it was safe for me to ask for care or attention. And I don't think it was. I think I was right,
Mhm.
at the time. But that was only the way it was then. That's not the way it is forever, you know? And so eventually, I got married young. I had 4 kids in 5 years. I have a big family. And I got to a point in 2020 when I was homeschooling my kids to get through being at the whole remote learning thing. Because my kids were this is terrible. My kids were in a Spanish immersion program in school, and I don't speak Spanish. And so I'm trying my best to learn so I can help them with their remote learning homework, even though it's in a language that I don't speak. And it was just exhausting every day. And I got to a point where I just thought, well, what has my life come to? Like, really? Really? Is this where I am? And I realized in that moment that I was going to have to prioritize myself in order to really make this thing come alive. And so I did a really deep dive in terms of personal growth. And I also this is a part of the story you don't know, Oliver. You're gonna like
Okay.
this bit. I I realized that at one point I was at a crossroads and I was trying to decide should I get a teaching conversion certificate so I can teach in high school and middle school and elementary school, or can should I do a master's in art? And that was probably the most indecisive I've ever been in my life. Normally I know what I want, and I did not know what I wanted in that situation. And I chose the teaching certificate because I thought it would be better for raising a family. But then in that moment in 2020, I thought, oh my God, did I make the wrong choice? Like if I had made that other choice, I would be so much farther along in my personal goals. And so I said, okay, well, what can I do about it now? And so I looked at master's programs and they were all impossible. Like logistically, financially, everything that was completely a no-go, because my family needed me. And so I couldn't like travel to another place. I couldn't be I had kids at home, like they needed me. So I thought, well, what even is a master's in art? What do you get? Like what is the point of it? And so I called up a friend and I said, look, I'm thinking about she had had a master's in art. And I said, look, I'm thinking about putting together my own master's program just for myself that I do at home. What were the main things about it that you got that were really valuable to you? And she said, well, honestly, it was just being with other artists and I was having the time to do my work because I got almost no instruction and, all this kind of thing. And I thought, well, I could do that. And so I created a program where I kind of created my own self-appointed master's degree. And I gave myself assignments and I did a bunch of business studying kind of stuff as well. And I did things where I listened to lots of different artist interviews and really just learned like I set myself the task of listening to 100 artist interviews and I wrote
Oh,
down
wow.
notes on every one. Yeah, I just set myself like big tasks, like numeric things like that. And I set myself the task of making with the artist interviews thing, it was pretty cool because what I was doing was trying to find who would be in my kind of virtual mastermind, like who I could imagine as being my mentor, like and get to know them so well that I would know what they would say if I'd ask them a question. You can even do this with people who've passed away, right? You can just
Hmm.
study them really thoroughly. And so I put together a mastermind of people that were like the people that I really admired. And so they were kind of my kind of leaders, I guess, or my mentors. And then I gave myself the assignment of doing like 100 small pieces of artwork and then 25 medium-sized pieces and then 15 large pieces. And I thought, well, if I've done that much work, surely that's as much as you would accomplish in like a master's program.
Hmm.
And so I made a grid and put it on the wall and just started ticking off these little pieces. And over the course of it, I realized I didn't even want to do the same artwork I was doing before. I changed my artwork completely, um, and it just opened the door. And I realized at first I thought I would actually approach people like professionals in the art industry and ask them for critiques and say, look, I'll be happy to pay you $100 to come to my studio and, critique my work, because I think asking these people for free is just not nice that, want to honor their time. And I thought, even if I'm doing that for every critique, that's way less than the cost of a degree,
Hmm.
But then when it was interesting, I found that I got to it and I didn't want to know their opinion. I was like, I've had enough critiques. I want to know what I want to do, and I want to put it out in the world and I want to see what people receive from it. And so that's really the path. I think it was giving myself that container that really kind of got me to where I am now. So so now I have a big following. I'm a professional artist and I took a bunch of like business classes at the local business center. They were all online and I learned about things like how to handle your accounting and stuff like that. And so, I basically created the masters that I would have wanted that nobody else has. Like if you get a master's in art, they don't tell you how to run a small business, and I wanted to know because I wanted to be a professional artist. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of how I got to where
cool.
I am, I guess.
Great story. And I think it's actually similar to my story. I grew up in a boarding school as well. Not like an
Hmm.
artist boarding school, but I developed my creativity in there, but still like lots of limiting beliefs. And I didn't do the art degree. And I'm kind of happy because I heard from many people that, of course, you learn things, but also you get so many limiting beliefs, right? So you
Yes.
kind of like put in a box and then you start thinking like this and you start believing these things, which actually can make it way harder to succeed later in life,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
took me, I would say it took me a solid 20 years to de art school. And really,
Mm.
when I
Wow.
finally threw away all those ideas, that's
Mm-hmm.
when I started making the work that I'm making now. And then that's what really took off. You know, it's just
And
those
so
limiting beliefs, they waste your time.
absolute.
You know?
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying this all the time. Like the first period, I had limiting beliefs from the boarding school and the people around me that, always told me creativity is not really something that's realistic. And I actually also, like you, I was also a photographer before I started
Hmm.
painting, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I was also like looking for my creative lane. I knew it's creativity, but I didn't know
Hmm.
it's art. And at one point it
Yeah.
crystallized, right? And I'm like, I love this. Art is like, it was more fun than anything else. And I think we have so many opportunities today. And I want to talk about your following because that is a big opportunity, right? If you're actually doing it
Yes.
right and you're committed and you show up every single day, you can
Hmm.
build a following, you can sell your art without like going to an art school or having an art degree, right? It's not
Yes.
really
And
needed.
without using galleries. You know,
Yeah.
I don't use any
Hmm.
galleries because I like to get to know my collectors directly. I feel
Yeah.
better when I know who's receiving the paintings. You
Yeah.
know, it's important to me. I sold a painting once through a gallery and I was so upset. Like, I know it sounds really weird, but I was like, I had put my heart and soul into that painting for a full month. I had worked on it for a long time and I didn't know anything about the person who bought it. And
Mm.
that was really upsetting to me. So it wasn't until
Yeah.
she reached out to me on Instagram that then I felt a lot better once I knew a
Okay.
little bit about her story.
Yeah, but I know how it is. I did once. I sold like a Bitcoin piece on an auction that someone like
Hmm.
it's was someone else's page. Someone bought it, and I didn't even know who this person is, and it felt really weird. Because I created this piece, right? This person
Hmm.
bought it, but I don't even know who this person is, and I never had like their contact details, which is really
Hmm.
it's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel right. Like, because
No.
you're making something so it can be received by somebody else. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like art is a communicative device more than
Mm-hmm.
anything. And I just
Mm-hmm.
want to know, I just want to know what the impact is. I want to know if it's helping somebody, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
want to know ideally how it's helping them. You know, that's
Yeah.
huge feedback for me as as an artist. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I have, by the way, and like I was just thinking now, since you're in our mastermind, I have a
Hmm.
strategy for you. I wanna, maybe I can mention it later or maybe privately because it's a really good strategy, getting to know your collectors more and getting like really good feedback. Because I've done that with many
Awesome.
collectors and I got like such great feedback from all these different people that bought my art.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. And I wanted to also ask you, like, so that a little bit the timeline. So to see for people to see like how long it actually took you. So when did you finish your art degree and how, like, when did you actually from that point on start doing art more seriously or maybe even full time?
Well, I graduated from art school in 2003,
Hmm.
December of 2003. And then I moved to the UK immediately. And I kept trying to make my art after, in the evenings after work and that kind of thing. But I found it very hard to kind of keep a rhythm going. And I don't think my mindset was in the right place. I had to do a kind of deep dive on mindset to get that better, get
Hmm.
that sorted out. Um, and I think let me think about the years. Okay, so I exhibited in like group shows and stuff a decent amount before my kids were born, but I had almost no sales.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I had like one sale. You know, it was bad. I really didn't know what I was doing, and that's okay. You know what I mean? I was just making my goal was to show up and to be
Hmm.
visible, and I achieved that. So that was really good. But let's see. So then my first son was born in 2011. So that's already 8 years. And then I think I really got serious about building a business in 2018, I would say.
Hmm.
So I was still making art a little bit on the side and stuff until 2018. But in 2018, that's when my fourth child turned two. And I said, okay, I'm not having any more. I have 3 years until he goes to kindergarten. And at that point, I need to have an audience and I need to have a business because I am not going back to work. for anybody else. You know, that was my thing. Um, so 2003 to 2018. So it took really like kind of 15 years after art school for me to be courageous enough to commit fully to starting a proper business, you know? And then it took until, let's see, I tried with various things until 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So for like 2 years, I was quite serious, but I still hadn't removed all the limiting beliefs from art school at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, it was in 2022 that I finally gave up the previous artwork that I was doing. And that's when yeah, I would say, no, it was like late 2021 when I started painting. No, no, it was, I'm sorry, I'm getting my timelines wrong. It was 2022 when I started painting skies. It was September of 2022. And so that's already like 19 years after I graduated art school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then um by 20, now we're in 2025, So in 2022, I had no following. I had no one buying my art, you know? And then now I have a combined total of 320,000 followers on Instagram and Facebook.
Wow.
And I am sold out a lot of the time. Like I have the problem of not having enough paintings for people to buy, which is wild. I
That's
mean, that's
amazing.
like
It's like
that's
a
the
dream
best
for many.
problem, but I paint slowly. I mean, for
Mm-hmm.
people who paint quickly, there is going to be so prolific, that's not the issue. But my paintings are very large and very detailed, so they take a while. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So, yeah, it almost seems like not going to art school is a cheat code because it's like you needed to do all this mental work. But I think actually everyone needs to do that, right? I didn't go to art school, but I also needed to work on my mindset. And many artists don't want to hear that. They want to have the
Hmm.
exact steps and the exact strategy, which I'm teaching actually a lot, especially on this YouTube channel. But most
Hmm.
artists, they cannot implement it. And it's like, why not,
Yes.
right? What is blocking
Yes.
most artists to not do that? To not like implement these steps and strategies? And it comes down to your mindset, your mental
Yes.
space, what's going on in there, the beliefs you're having, yeah, what you
Yeah.
believe about art, about how it is to make a living, if it's hard, easy, not possible, like all these beliefs, right?
Hmm.
That's really also it took me a while to get rid of it. And I think we never fully get rid of them, right? They're almost like new
Yeah.
beliefs
I
that come
mean,
up, but at least the
yeah.
main things.
You clear out most of it, and
Yeah.
then it comes up when you're at a low point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, the seed of the weed is still here. I got to pull it
Hmm.
out again." You know what I mean? Or you got to I don't know. I think of it a little bit like the idea of fear.
Hmm.
And if fear's really big, it takes over, right? But
Hmm.
fear actually is healthy. Fear keeps you alive and keeps you away from the predators. It helps you be cautious at the right times, this kind of thing. As long as it's kept in its the right size,
Hmm.
as long as it's smaller. So I like to think of, I just make a little bench in my mind for fear, and I just say, here's where you get to sit. Here.
Hmm.
Now you just and anxiety too. Here, you guys just sit right here.
Hmm.
And you can watch me do the scary thing,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
you just keep going, but you have to give them somewhere to sit because they're important.
Hmm.
Like if you try to get rid of them, that won't work. They're there for a reason. So,
Exactly. It's a fight you
yeah.
cannot win, right? It's like you're going against your nature because fear, anxiety, all normal, but not when you
Yeah.
go fully in and they consume you and you're paralyzed and you cannot do anything. That's when,
Yeah.
yeah, you need to
That's when
put it
you
aside.
need a big shift. You got
Yeah,
to really
yeah,
turn it around.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what would you say like was your big shift, like mindset wise? Like what if you would pick like one? Do you have like one big mindset shift that you had that turned it around for you?
I think for me, it was really just about self-worth and
Mm,
how for me, that was a really big part of it. Because I already believed that anything was possible. I'd read a lot of stories and I really believed that everything was possible for other people you know? But for me to realize that everything was possible for me too, I had to dump a lot of trauma,
Mm.
you know? And so I went through a big process of like just dumping it, you know? And I don't know if you always have to do that, but that's certainly what I had to do. But it was amazing because like going through that process of kind of letting all that stuff go, my relationships improved, my the way that I existed in the world was so totally different. You know, like my marriage improved because I was, you know, starting to be able to ask directly for the things that I wanted. You know, I mean, it's like so healthy to just let go of all of that pain you've been carrying around, you know? Um, but I think in terms of actual mindset shifts, I think for me is like a big thing lately. There've been kind of two. This is like I'm because I'm constantly working on the mindset stuff. Like I'm really kind of obsessed with it. And so two big things that I've had lately is realizing like I realized just this week, I was thinking about my children and I was thinking, well, you know, like I love them. And I like, what is the feeling that I have about my kids? Because I believe in them completely, you know? And it's like, okay, well, I love them and I have faith in their potential. Like, no matter what the evidence is right now, I have faith in their potential. And I thought, wow, maybe, what if I felt that way about myself, you know? So I tried on that idea and I tried just telling myself, you know, Jenny, I love you and I have faith in your potential. And it was like the missing ingredient that I needed. Like this whole side of my body felt so just strong all of a sudden, you know, like I was so weak without that, you
Mhm.
know. And so I've been saying that to myself over and over again over the past couple of days. And for me, that's been the thing that's helped me because I've gotten up to a certain point in terms of like the amount I'm comfortable receiving. And now I'm reaching for higher, you know?
Mhm.
And so for me to reach higher, I had to really step into that, like just loving myself and having faith in my potential. I have faith in myself, you know? And that's I don't know, it's making such a difference. Like
Mhm.
Ah,
Yeah.
but then the
Mhm.
other thing is just honestly like having a meditative practice. Like
Mm.
I meditate every morning as best I can. Sometimes I don't fully quiet my mind. This morning I spent 20 minutes on it, couldn't fully quiet my mind. That's the way it goes sometimes, you know? Like,
Mhm.
but when I do really quiet my mind and I'm able to just allow all of the other distractions to be kind of distant and far away. Like it's like your thoughts are still there, you know, but they're far away. There's like this space that you have.
Mhm.
It's like everything just falls into place for me. And so
Mhm.
then I know, I'm like, oh wow, I know that can be done. I know this is all right.
Yeah.
Everything's okay, you know? It's like you
Mhm.
kind of really just taste that abundance, you know, that
Mm.
infinite abundance that's actually available if you
Yeah.
can tune into it. And so I just think if you can make a daily practice of doing something that helps you feel unbelievably peaceful, then you get right in there, you know, and maybe it's meditation, maybe it's exercise, maybe it's going for a walk in nature, you know,
Mhm.
these things. It just I think that you need that every day to help you just have a little bit more grace in how you approach the ups and downs of life, you know, like I think you can just write it out easier if you have a mindset practice that's going to rejuvenate you, you know?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
interesting because again, I think similar path. Like so first the trauma, right? And I want to ask you more
Hmm.
about that. But I also needed to release a lot of trauma. And one thing that I did a lot of things. Like I started when I
Hmm.
was like 18, because I had a very tough childhood.
Yeah.
And but yeah, fast forward, I tried a lot of things. But 2017, I read the book The Artist's Way,
Yeah.
and that released something in me. It released the trauma that I had from school. Like I don't remember exactly when. I was maybe 8 years old, and the teacher grabbed my hair because I dumped the brush too hard into the water, and she saw that, and she's like, "Do you want to see how this feels? Like this hurts the brush, something like this, crazy." And she grabs my hair and pulls me on my hair, and was like 8, and I couldn't do anything. Right, I was like just completely helpless. And I can remember I
Yeah.
needed to deal with this shock. And I mean, it was not very painful, but it was very embarrassing in front of the class. And
Yeah.
so I needed to deal with that. So I dealt with that in my imagination. I got really angry, but I just,
Mm-hmm.
just kept it in my mind. And then I had a huge nightmare the same night.
Mm-hmm.
And there was it was a painting class, or not a painting. We were painting that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like this one moment blocked me from painting. And then I was looking for my path, my creativity, and I did all other things like acting, dancing, singing, guitar,
Mm-hmm.
photography, but not art. And
Mm-hmm.
after reading that book, I released that trauma. First it came to the surface because it
Mm-hmm.
was deep down, and then I
Yeah.
don't remember the exact exercise anymore, but it just like it released something and I exploded. I couldn't stop myself from painting anymore. And that was literally the start where I started painting. And then one thing after the next happened. It was still like a hard journey, still needed to continue working on my mindset, like especially
Mm-hmm.
money beliefs and believing in
Mm-hmm.
myself, confidence, self love, all these things. I needed to work on these things for a while. But I also did, like you said, I had a meditation practice because my mind was so chaotic that it was quite negative. It's like almost like all
Yes.
these beliefs and voices from other people became my voices. And it was almost
Mm-hmm.
impossible in an environment like this to create any kind of success. And when I needed to do something
Yes.
that was fearful or out of my comfort zone, I just couldn't do it. It was because the voices
Yeah.
didn't support me,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely. The negative
meditation helped
voices
me a
will
lot.
paralyze you. They will.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so meditation, also in my opinion, it's like it quiets this chaos, and you at the same time you can also think clearer. Like that's when I
Mm-hmm.
get the best ideas. That's when I give myself some space to digest and process things, and like
Mm-hmm.
just give myself some love. Basically, I see almost like
Yes.
meditation as loving yourself, giving yourself some love. And from that space, that's when I started to feel better and better, and I started getting really good ideas. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's super important as well. So I love that
Well,
advice. Yeah.
and the thing is, you notice you had that realization that that memory came to the surface
Mm-hmm.
probably because you created quiet space for yourself
Mm-hmm.
for it to
Mm-hmm.
come up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think it's like it's almost like mind and body hygiene is meditating because you're
Mm-hmm.
just allowing everything to clear out.
Mm-hmm.
It's so powerful. I just think it's amazing
Absolutely.
that you that had that particular memory surface and you didn't
Yeah.
even remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be so deep seated, these memories. It's
Yeah.
so cool that you managed to sort it out.
Yeah. And it's very important because there are things that are blocking us that we don't even
Mm-hmm.
realize, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you do? Like when you said in the beginning you had a lot of trauma, did you go to therapy or coaches? Like what exactly did you do?
So I had been through therapy for a couple years when I was in art school, and that was really helpful because I was a mess. But in that therapy, I learned a technique for releasing trauma out of my body, and I've been doing it ever since. And so in it, you kind of just notice like when you think about something, a topic, or something that kind of maybe just triggers you ever so slightly. You notice where you feel it in your body as you maybe feel like some tension here, or like for me it's always I feel a lot like in my sides like here, and I just feel a little something feels different. And so then I just take my attention and I just bring my attention there and I just listen.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen to whatever feelings or images or stories come up. And it will, if you just listen with in a loving way, in an open-minded, loving way, non-judgmental way, it'll start coming out. All the pain, the images, the locations, these kind of wherever happened, it'll start to pour out. And so for me, I am very visual, being an artist, and so I imagine it like pouring out of me and going down into the earth. And to me, that's very healing because I feel like the earth knows what to do with it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it can recycle it. It can take all the nasty energy and recycle it. And so, um, but there was a specific way that I went about it, which might be really helpful to someone, which is that I basically like I was trying to I spent those first couple of years working really hard on my business, and then I finally realized that I didn't actually believe that I could do it, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I thought, wow, that's bad. If I can't believe it, then it can't happen. If
Hmm.
I can't believe that my art is worth this money, how can anybody else believe it, you know? And so I thought, okay, this has got to be priority number one. I've got to sort out my mindset. And so I thought, well, it's got to probably got to be done step by step. You know, you can't go from like one place straight to another immediately. So I thought, well, I'm just going to try on the next step that I want to get to, you know? And so then I had to be really deeply honest about where I was, which is quite, that's hard sometimes, It's like to really be authentic and honest about exactly the real thoughts that are going on inside of yourself. It can get a little, it can get kind of
Hmm.
intense. And so I realized that actually when I did that kind of audit to realize where I was like, oh, I was kind of shocked, and so my first tiny baby step was my art doesn't hurt people.
Oh.
No joke. You know, my art does, because I couldn't even get to my art has a positive effect on the world. I couldn't even get that far. So I thought, well, okay, my art doesn't hurt people. And I was like, no, I can get behind that. I believe that. I believe that my art doesn't hurt people. And so then once I'd kind of relaxed into that one, then I thought, okay, so my art has a positive effect sometimes, you know? And so then I could just kind of gently wrap my head around that. And then I sat with it and allowed it to get, and I would sit with the new next step idea. But a lot of times the next step idea would cause part of my body to light up. It
Hmm.
would cause part of my body to be, saying, hey, I've got resistance here. There's an issue here, and so then I would switch into just listening. And so it's okay and bring my attention to that part of my body and just listen. And so through that, that's how I kind of just allowed all of that nasty stuff to just flow away. And so I did this. I had a structure for myself because this is when I had four little kids, Oliver.
That's
Like
crazy.
little. Yeah, it's really crazy. And so what I would do is I would get up an hour before they did every morning, and I would come and I would have this space to myself, and so I would try and I had some other things that I did for like my personal health and stuff. So I did some stretching and some physical therapy kind of stretching stuff. And then I would sit and I would meditate. I would do this. It wasn't really meditating. It was more like I would think about my next level that I wanted to be and then notice what part of me lit up, and then I would bring my attention to that and I would just allow whatever it was to release. And I did that for 20 minutes every day for like a year, you
Wow.
know. Yeah, but it was, I mean, the amazing thing was I did it with no outside help. And I figured out so much stuff. At the beginning of that, I didn't even understand that my dad was a narcissist. You
Hmm.
know, it was so many things I figured out because of that. But it was like, wow, like I kept having so much stuff coming up about my dad. And I thought, golly, this is a lot worse than I thought, And so it was really great to kind of pull the the illusions away, and be like, no, actually there's a reason why I'm having trouble here,
Hmm.
and I can sort it out. I can do something about it now. So that's great, you
Hmm.
know. So, but eventually it was really interesting because eventually I had done enough healing to where I kind of wanted to turn and think about the future. And so that actually corresponded right with the point at which I transitioned my artwork, because all my old artwork had been a lot of like I did a lot of found object sculpture, and they were all about nostalgia and memories and understanding your memories and stuff like that. And then I ended up switching to skies in a kind of cool way. So my husband he's a scale modeler. He makes airplanes and tanks and this kind of thing professionally, actually, at this point. But at the time, he was just extremely enthusiastic and prolific, right? And it was like a side thing. But we painted. Our kids got old enough to where we painted the interior walls in our log cabin, our big main room. And so they went from being wood paneled to becoming white. And we didn't paint the logs for any log cabin enthusiasts. We didn't paint the logs, just the terrible wood paneling in between. And so all of a sudden we had these white walls, and it was like they were talking to me. It's like, what are you gonna do? We had these huge white triangles, kind of in the tops of the A-frame setup. And And so then suddenly I turned to my husband and I said, Mike, this could be your canvas. You could put your airplanes up there. And he turns to me and he says, will you paint me a sky mural? And I thought, what? Because I had not painted anything significant in 20 years. I was a sculptor. I did like small realistic drawings, I mean, I was not working on that scale at all. But it was such a cool project that I just said, well, yeah, why not? I'll support you in this. I'll paint you a sky mural. I'll do that. And that was right when my youngest son went to kindergarten. I got up on a 12-foot ladder and I painted a 30-foot sky mural, you
Wow.
know? So that was my
Yeah.
first sky painting. It was 30 feet wide at the bottom. And and so and I went up on that ladder and it was like my whole world opened up. It was I wanted to I just knew I never wanted to play small again. I wanted to think about vast expanses and I wanted to feel like I could fly and I just loved how abstract the clouds were. Like I could play with it. It didn't have to look exactly like the photo. I could mess around and change things and stuff and it was so fun. And so that's when I said that's it. I'm that's it. I'm doing skies forever now. And it
Mhm.
felt so much like it does when I meditate. It's like it felt like that same kind of floating, expansive, free feeling that you get when you're really, really centered. And I thought, that's it. I want to feel like that as much as possible. So I'm going to paint skies.
I love
So,
that. That's so beautiful because it's like it also goes into this framework of like how to tell stories and I think when you tell this, it's so authentic and genuine. Is right. You have a
mhm,
whole story how you transition and how you came to uh, these cloud paintings and how they make you feel
mhm,
and why. And it has a lot to do with your meditation practice and your self healing and all these things, which is it's again similar to me. It's like art and personal growth was for me, and the healing I did was
mhm.
very much connected. And then I
Yeah.
turned this into a story and I actually was telling that story instead of, like bore my potential buyers with technical stuff or mediums. I was like, no, I told them
Mhm.
just a story like you just told me, right? And they were like,
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting. They can feel it. And when you told me that
Mhm.
story, I could feel it, right? I got
Yeah.
fascinated. So that's beautiful, yeah. And now for the artists listening, because I'm assuming some artists they want to have some tools, some knowledge. So first, tell us, as we talked about the mindset now for quite a while, let's talk
It's my
about
favorite thing.
mine too, right? It's like I love
Yeah.
talking about mindset, but I know a lot of artists they want the real
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah. They want the how.
Exactly, the how, yeah. So let's talk about that. So what would you say, like first, yeah, before we talk about the how, tell us a bit like what you've achieved, just so for people to know, that you're not just making this up, but you've actually built a huge following. You have
Mhm.
print drops that sell out. You sell originals already for quite high prices and they sell out. So tell us a bit about your achievements first.
Well, I've built up a large following on Instagram and Facebook. Those are the only two platforms I really use. So that's a really big deal. Just having the numbers that are like the numbers of people looking at your stuff really, really is an enormous help. Um, the first time I sold out was at Christmas 2024,
Mhm.
like the end of December 2024. So I sold all of my paintings. I didn't have any more originals that I could sell. I think also it helps that I was a sculptor for so long because I still have old sculptures and things, but I don't have any more of these sky paintings. And so since then, I've been painting a fair amount of commissions because people still want a painting. I'm like, oh, I'd paint you a commission. And so I've only got two paintings available for sale right now.
Nice.
And so, and the highest sale I've had so far was 6,800. So that's pretty high.
Hmm.
So most of my large paintings sell for multiple thousands of dollars. So that's really encouraging. I just want artists to know that like that happens. That's real. You know.
Hmm.
Um, I have a really good relationship with my followers, I think. I talk to them a lot about what's really in my heart, and I also ask them what they are receiving every day. And I think it that makes a huge difference because art ultimately is a communicative device in my
Hmm.
book. I think that you are communicating something, and sometimes You know, sometimes when you tell a story, the thing that you want to tell isn't always exactly the thing that other people receive. And
Yeah.
that's because it has to do with them. You know, they're receiving the perfect part of it for them, you know? And
Mhm.
so for me, it's always really important to ask what they receive from the art to make sure that I still understand that because I'm evolving, they're evolving, you know? And the main thing that my people receive from my art is peace. Whereas for me, it was expansion.
Mhm.
It was all about expansion. But for them, it's about peace. And so that was a really important thing to understand the difference, you know?
Mhm.
So for them, they just that my paintings are very peaceful and they just want that peace and beauty and that feeling of ease and that deep exhale. That's what they want, you know?
Mhm.
And when you understand that, you everything about what you're putting out, you know, you can make it go in line with that. So all of the music that I pick, you know, all of the way that I word my things, you know, it's all designed to give them a beautiful, peaceful experience, which is a relief from the rest of their life, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so when you understand that, it really makes it a lot easier. And I do 2 print drops a year, and they sell pretty well. And the reason I decided to do print drops is because I used to fulfill prints just ad hoc, and I found it got in the way of my painting my own my original paintings. It interrupted things too much, and I didn't like it. And so that's why I started doing print drops.
Mhm.
And they're, you know, they're good. It's nice. It's really fun. It's really fun to see, you know, a lot of people buying things all at once.
Yeah.
You know, it's an
It's
exciting thing to
probably a dopamine
experience, you
hit.
know? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's just, I don't know, it's very validating. So that's really
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
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 Oh, and I
That's.
also I'm a mindset coach as well. So I have
Mhm.
a podcast for my mindset and stuff. And you know, that helps. It's beautiful because I it helps me like get to kind of share all the because I'm a mindset junkie. Like I am constantly consuming more content and programs and stuff, and I get to pick all the best parts and I get to share them with people through my podcast. And so for it helps. I think all of that helps support my mindset with my own business too.
I love
So
that. And we will put a link below in the description from your podcast so people can
yeah,
check that out. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. That'd be great. I
Of
appreciate it.
course, yeah. And
Yeah.
I wanted to say something to what you said about like understanding what the difference between what you feel or see in your art versus what they see
Hmm.
and feel, right? I think that's extremely
Yes.
important because that's actually like marketing 101, right?
Yeah.
It's actually the basic like understanding your ideal buyer and yeah, what they feel and witness and desire, all these things, right? But I think
Yeah.
a lot of artists and that happens especially, and I think that's one of the biggest mistakes artists make. They are like almost like hiding, you know, they are
Hmm.
creating, they are crafting, they're doing the website, they're doing their art, all of this, but they're never really going out talking to potential buyers or their ideal buyers, right? So
Yeah.
they're living almost like in their own world, which is
Hmm.
part of being an artist, like you did too, right? You created art that you wanted to do, the same like me. I always created art that I wanted to do. But I also really, and I had all these concepts of what, you know, my art is about. But I really try to learn what they see, feel, and witness, and how it makes them feel, and you know why they bought it. And actually, like I could bring up the strategy here, so everybody can make notes because it's a really powerful strategy. So what I've done is like I
I'm getting
chose.
my book.
Awesome. I jumped with all my not all with a few of them, like maybe 10 or something. Jumped with like 10
Hmm.
collectors on a call and I interviewed them for roughly 30 minutes to sometimes even an hour when they were like very talkative. And I asked them like a series of questions to basically it's kind of like a tool to also advertise your art because you can post that and it's not going to get a lot of views, right? It's like not viral
Hmm.
content, but it's still like people
Yeah.
that are interested that already follow you, they see you
Hmm.
talking to a collector and seeing their
Hmm.
point of view why they bought it, and they might feel similar things, or they like maybe they're already thinking about buying one of your pieces, but the interview is just getting them to the next level, or even making the jump where they actually say, I want to buy it now because they see other people buying it and why they buy it, right? It's
Hmm.
for this very powerful. And at the same time, also very powerful for you to learn about them and
Yes.
understand deeper why they buy art. And I mean, that's like a long conversation, 30 to 60 minutes, right? So you're going to
Hmm.
learn a lot
Yeah.
of things. And I think with with ChatGPT, it's even easier because when I started doing them, I don't ChatGPT wasn't there yet. So I really needed to listen and re-listen to the interviews. But whenever I did, I got like all these ideas of how I can market my artworks, what I can say. But now I would just copy the transcript from the interview and put it in ChatGPT and ask a few questions and then create new
Hmm.
pieces of content based on like the things I learned from my collectors,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Very powerful.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how are you getting the transcript? Where's that coming from?
There are different ways you can upload it, for example, on YouTube, just unlist it, or you can even like,
Yeah.
you can make it public if you want, but then you just copy paste the transcript with a tool like YouTube transcript, and you should find a good tool. Then you have the whole
Hmm.
transcript, put it in ChatGPT, and then you can ask questions. And what I will do for you, Jenny, I will send you the questions that I asked them. So you have like a bunch of
Oh,
questions that I asked them that you, if you want to ask them too, you can do that as well.
thanks.
You're
That's super
welcome.
helpful. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, I actually did something kind of like this once because I was interviewing a collector who had gotten a commission from me,
Hmm.
and I wanted to find out how the commission process had gone for her, and but I told her ahead of time, look, if there, I hopefully will be able to take a few nice parts of this and make it into like a testimonial
Hmm.
video for me on my website, and gosh, we ended up talking for 2 hours.
Oh,
It
wow.
was it was actually really hard for me to edit it down because like we just said so many good things. But I did eventually get it down to like a testimonial, kind of length, like 10 minutes sort of thing.
Hmm.
But it sounds great to just do it without and having any reason.
Hmm.
Like just to do it just because. It
Hmm.
sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also builds the relationship with your collectors even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Hmm.
feel very honored. It's it's
Yeah.
it's beautiful, and it's a win-win for everyone. And I want to say that's what I like about you, because you understand it's about building relationships. And I think that's
Yes.
where a lot of artists still struggle. Like, we have strategies, right? I have my strategy, which I teach in the mastermind, which
Hmm.
you are now also trying. But when you
Yes.
try my strategy, you're gonna
Hmm.
you do better with the strategy than many artists that don't understand these mental models, or like, these
Yes.
basics. Almost like building relationships is one of the basics of selling art. It's like, if you just do the strategies, but like you feel resistant around building relationships, and you think about, oh, I don't like chatting, I don't like jumping on calls, I don't like like you think about what you don't want to do, but you still want to
Hmm.
sell your art. And I was like this in the beginning too. Like, that's why I didn't sell
Sure.
much. But when I
Yeah.
switched that, and I'm like, I will now jump with people on calls, because I
Hmm.
understand it's about building these relationships. That's when everything changed for me. That's when I started selling more and more, just because of this one
Yeah.
simple shift, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that a lot of artists don't realize is they're thinking, "Oh, I'm introverted, I'm
Hmm.
shy, I don't know how to do this," but that's okay because introverts are usually really good at listening.
Yeah.
And that's
Hmm.
actually what you want to do. You're
Yeah.
not getting on that call to talk. You're not getting on there to perform. You're getting on there to listen. That is the entire goal. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
get yeah. Yeah, because the thing is it's like and you can know from anything that you've ever bought. You want to buy from someone that you like, know, and trust, you know? You
Hmm.
want to know you want to feel confident that you're, not being swindled. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? You want to be confident that the person is honest and cares about you genuinely, like you want to believe that they're doing something for your benefit and that
Hmm.
that's their aim, you
Yeah.
know? And nobody can know that about you until they've gotten to experience it. And the best way to experience it is just to listen to their stories because everyone needs to talk about their lives and tell somebody,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's sort
Yeah.
of, I actually read a whole book once about how it was like the idea of home and this book's idea was that home is where you tell your stories, you know?
Hmm.
And so if you give someone a chance to tell their stories to you, then you become a safe space for them, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
Just like a home. And
Exactly.
that's just beautiful. Like that's a service.
Yeah.
That's turning sales into a service even before you've, given them the opportunity to buy the artwork that reminds them of the experience and like I want to say one thing real quick, Oliver. I
Okay.
feel like this is a
We have
really
so many
important
things
thing
to
to me
talk
about
about.
sales and that
Okay.
when you're selling someone an artwork, you're not actually selling them the artwork. What you're doing is you're giving them a chance to commit to the part of them that lights up when they see the artwork. You
Mm,
know?
I love
You're
that.
you're giving them a chance to commit to that part of themselves that needs peace or needs self-belief or needs time in nature or whatever it is. There's, that has to do with your subject matter and what your art is actually about. But
Hmm.
there's when people see your art and they know what it's about, there's going to be a part of them that just surges forth, says,
Hmm.
"Oh, that's me. I recognize that. This is, that part of them lights up." And
Yeah.
so, really really it's just, then the percentage of their disposable income that they're willing to spend on it really is just a measure of how committed they are to that part of themselves,
Yeah.
you know?
Hmm.
And so if you think about that as like it's not really about money exactly. It's more like about how much they are committed to themselves. And that depends on from person to person because different people have different levels of finance, but
Yeah.
like for one person, $100 thing could be that could be like most of their disposable income. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then they have really committed with that
Hmm.
$100 thing. But for other people, it's a $5,000 thing.
Hmm.
For other people, they need to spend $10,000 to really show that true commitment to that part of themselves, So it's
Absolutely.
like it's like you're provide the whole interaction is a service,
Yeah.
even taking their money.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know?
Beautiful. Yeah, I love this conversation because it's so true. It's like changing this whole scarcity mindset of like when I, talk to people and I talk about them and the relationship, but then I want to sell something. Am I not like scamming them? I'm like, no, you need to shift this whole mindset around. You need to see what you're actually giving to the person, the value you're adding, like the conversation, first of all, right?
Hmm.
You listening
Yeah.
to them, giving them a safe space. I realized at one point, I was like perplexed because I'm like, I don't even do anything. I mean, I'm jumping with people on calls, I'm listening most of the time, and people buy my art and they are so extremely happy. Even if they don't buy my
Yeah.
art, they're still so grateful. And I'm like, I was thinking that people buy my art because of me. There was a thought that I had. But then on one point, I got deeper and I realized it's because I'm providing them the space and I listen to them because that's quite rare, right? And then if they
Yes.
buy or not,
Yes.
that's not a problem. Some buy, some not, right? But
Hmm.
it doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. It's not rejection or you're not there on the call or you're not interacting with them to get something, to win something. It's like you're there to give them something. And then also the transaction, right? When we get to this point, I loved it. But at one point I created heart paintings and I was literally like a commitment to love
Hmm.
themselves because they love
Yes.
themselves enough to spend money on something beautiful that's only for them. It's not a
Hmm.
need, it's a luxury, but it has a meaning. It's for them. It shows self-love, right? So
Yes.
this commitment, and the same with the
Yeah.
abundance painting. The abundance were about, yeah, allowing abundance in your life, life. Yeah, do not be afraid of, not having enough money or spending money and doesn't come back. No, you're allowing abundance in your life, and you do something beautiful for yourself, right? So
Yes.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
all reframes. Hmm.
Yeah. And it's, if you think about it, like the way that people build beautiful cathedrals and so forth, and
Hmm.
they put beautiful carvings and stained glass and sculptures and every single part of it, it's showing a level of devotion,
Yeah.
you're you're what you're doing is you're giving someone an opportunity to show that kind of devotion to themselves. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like because it is luxury.
Yeah.
But it's also tied to something really important and essential, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, that's the thing. It's that luxury is actually super essential, but it's
Hmm.
not at the state of survival, right? Many people, and
Yeah.
especially artists, live on survival mode, so they cannot
Yes.
identify with the people that are out of survival mode. And what they
Hmm.
want meaning and luxury. They want beautiful things. They want meaningful things. They want to feel good. They want to elevate, right? Like in their
Hmm.
state, how they feel, how they think. It's not about survival anymore. It's not about the need,
Yes.
right? But you're not
Hmm.
you're talking to the people that want that. They want meaning, beauty, luxury, right? And you can
Hmm.
provide that with your art in your own way to the right people, to the
Yes.
people that actually resonate with what you specifically create.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really interesting that artists are sort of have trouble with this because artists are actually beautifully equipped
Mm-hmm.
just by having fallen in love with the process of making their art. You actually have a direct tie to the feeling of abundance right
Yeah.
there. You know
Yeah.
exactly what it feels like. You know exactly what it feels like to be in flow, to
Mm-hmm.
be completely at peace with the whole universe because you're there doing that thing. You
Yeah.
know, that's
Mm-hmm.
true abundance right there. That is the feeling right there. So, really, it's just about allowing that feeling to spread to other parts of your life, including your art business,
Mm-hmm.
including the business side. It's allowing that feeling of like, yes, this is the right thing for me. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I want to be doing right now. Yes, this is a beautiful thing to do, you know? when you can
Exactly.
when you can allow that feeling to spread to the other parts of your art business, you just can't do any you can't go wrong. you know but that just what I said right there, for most artists, they're like, how can you do that? You know what I mean? How, like, I don't even know, but it's like it has to be done one little step at a time, because it's when you're focused on the negative, you only see the negative, even
Mm-hmm.
though there's a whole other positive side that you might not have even considered. Like, okay, here's an example. Like, here's a fairly extreme negative. Say the main earner in your household gets laid off, right? Okay. So that's pretty upsetting. All of a sudden your main income has gone away, right? But if you once you get past the initial feeling of that, then you can start to think about, well, wait a minute. Now what we've got here is an opportunity to do something different. You hated that job anyway, right? You basically got paid to leave a job that you hate because you got a severance package, like now you have a chance to really think about what you want. Now you have a chance to step into something that's going to be more healthy for you. Now maybe you have a chance to even go after your dream. And you know what? Maybe you never would have been able to let go of that living, anyway. Maybe you had to get kicked out of it. Maybe you wouldn't have been able to just step out of there on your own. So maybe this is actually a gift. Maybe this whole thing is a super abundant gift, you know? And it's to me, it's like that's like the best example I know of right now, because there's this whole colossal positive side if you're willing to look for it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Exactly.
And I just
Exactly.
think it's that way with literally every single step of the way through this
Yeah.
whole thing. And it's like, oh, I don't know how to talk to people. Well, but, you know, yeah, you do. You actually do, because you know how to talk to people that are close to you. So
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is start imagining that that person that you're talking to is your best friend, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to talk to him just fine. Even if you're clunky at it at first, that's okay, But you just say, look, I'm only talking to one person, I'm only making, even like social media, I'm only making this post for one person, I'm making this post for a person who would like me,
Yeah.
because honestly, if they're not going to like you, you don't want them to be follow you anyway, do you? You know what I mean? Like it's like there's a way to turn around everything,
Yeah.
every single little bit of it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
positive way of looking at it, and there's a positive way of approaching that topic that it's going to help you feel free.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
it's like just believing in that,
Mm-hmm.
believing that there is an easier way. There's always an easier way to think about it. What's the
Mm-hmm.
easy version? What's the easy version of this for me?
Exactly. I call this also
Yeah.
like a reframe, right? It's like you have lots of negative thoughts around something you should be doing or you want to do. And then it's like, I do, like, that's what I do. I become clear about the limiting beliefs, the voices in my head that are going on right now, put them on paper, and
Hmm.
then I reframe them. But also, like you said, in
Yeah.
a way that doesn't feel too much to believe right now, because sometimes you
Yes.
don't want to go from like you cannot make money with art to I'm going to become a millionaire artist. It's like it's a
Hmm.
big jump, so you need to pick
Yeah.
beliefs that are more positive, but they go in the right direction, but you still believe them, right? And
Hmm.
that's something that really helped me. And
Yeah.
I want to ask you a few more questions, like now a specific how question, because I'm sure the people want to know. It's like
Okay.
how did you build your big following on social media? Like maybe you can give some small pieces of
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, I can tell you. I learned to make reels in a specific way for people with very short attention spans. And that really is the name of the game right now,
Mhm.
because attention spans are really, really, really short. But if you once you learn how to do that, it's beautiful because really just a matter of making, like, I do process reels mostly, like 98% of what I do are process reels. And so I'm showing my art process. Yeah, that's
So
it.
people
There we
can
go.
see
Yeah,
101,000 on Instagram. So
that's
people
right.
can
Yeah.
follow you if they want to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have 220,000 on Facebook. So don't,
Wow.
you gotta always make sure that you cross post to Facebook because you never know. Like my audience, they're 60 plus. Those are the main people who buy from me. So they're on Facebook. That's where they are,
Mm.
you know? So, never discount Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. I sold most
You-
of my art on Facebook, probably like 98%. Not much on
yeah.
Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, the main thing is just keep, when you're editing your clips together, you just need to keep them very, very short. Okay. So I use 1 second or less for 90% of my clips. And then occasionally I'll have one that's like 3 seconds long.
Mhm.
And the whole reel is only ever 20 seconds long. I almost never make a reel that's more longer than 20 seconds. I've just found that they don't do as well, basically. It's like 20 seconds. People are they're definitely gonna watch it once, or most likely they're gonna watch it once. In fact, you can go on the insights and you can see that even still, most people they watch the first 10 seconds,
Mhm.
and then they start dropping off after that. So I don't dare make it any longer than 20 seconds, you know? So
Yeah.
you have to kind of make them as short as you can.
Yeah.
But I would say also think very carefully about your music choice because that is going to determine the tone of the whole thing. Um, I actually almost never have my music on when I'm watching this stuff because I'm a highly sensitive person and sometimes I find all of it overwhelming, you know? But what I have found is that the music choice makes a huge difference in terms of how well the reel does. But don't fall for having to use trending music. That's just silly.
Ah,
Instead, you work with music that is going to go along with the message and the meaning of your artwork. So that's really important. You've got to think carefully about what really aligns with the message and the meaning of your artwork. And also, if you know much about your ideal buyer, what's going to align with them. So if you know that your ideal buyer tends to be in their 30s and 40s, then you're going to be picking music that's going to, resonate with people at those sort of ages. Um,
that's such
like
a good tip.
yeah, like classical music works so well for me because it just works so well for people who are 60 plus. I could pick peaceful music that I think is really like indie music or something that's really nice, but it's not going to appeal to my the people who mostly buy my paintings, because they're just a little older. So like soothing piano music, I cannot go wrong with.
Mm.
It really works for me. Whereas my husband is also an artist and he does military dioramas. So he creates he creates people's experiences and like he'll create like your tank with your numbers on it and like an engraved base and he'll make it firing with the light in the smoke cloud and the whole thing. And so for him, he uses hard rock, heavy metal, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, this kind of thing. His people love that stuff. And it's really funny because my husband actually he really loves like really chill techno. Like if he were going to put something on it, he even has written his own really chill techno, but he's not going to put it on it because he knows that that's not the thing that they like. They like music that's big guitar and helps them feel strong and stuff like that. It makes them feel motivated. So he just does what they like.
That's one of the best tips I've heard so far about Instagram because like what I learned is like I don't know if you ever done that, but I followed like trendy videos
Hmm.
on Instagram and
Hmm.
I use the same audio and the same, cuts and everything, but
Hmm.
I wasn't thinking if this sound actually resonates with my idea buyer, and I think mostly it actually didn't. So
Yeah.
that's like a really good advice. I'm gonna try that out for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and you have to think about it because you're not aiming to capture the people who follow the trends on Instagram. That's
Hmm.
not who you want. You want your ideal buyer. You want to create long-lasting relationships that resonate with them. I mean, I know that putting soothing piano music is probably going to work on my videos forever. Like they are going to love that forever. It's not going to
Mm.
be this week it's this musical artist and that week it's that musical artist because my people aren't following trends. you know?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
They're like it's more kind of young. I don't know who follows trends on Facebook or on social media, but they're not my people,
I mean,
you
the
know?
funny thing is your reels go viral. So it's like they are
Oh yeah.
basically trendy. They become
Hmm.
trendy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
right.
that's really cool. Like I see like
Yeah.
2.1
They go
million. Yeah.
Yeah, the best I had is like 4.2 million, I
Wow.
think.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that's really a lot. But
Hmm.
the thing is, the other thing to know is that when you're showing your process, you're showing the magic trick of being an artist. You are not teaching them. Be really clear about that. There's a big distinction, you know? Teaching is totally different. All I'm doing is showing that it moves from this state to that state to that state, you know? That's it in
Hmm.
20 seconds, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Oh, wow, I can't believe like a human being painted that." Like how did she do it? They're
Yeah.
really it's just showing the magic trick again and again and again and you position yourself as the magician, you know? You position yourself as being the magic bringer, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And if you think
Yeah.
of for our buyers, we are magicians. Not for other artists because they look at the technique and what we are doing, but for the
Yeah.
ideal buyers, we are magicians, right? So that's very
Hmm.
interesting to see.
Well, but
Yeah.
also for hobby artists, we like I'm a magician to people who are learning to paint clouds and don't know
Hmm.
how to do it very well. They think I'm a
Hmm.
magician,
Yeah.
and they buy my work too. Just
Wow.
because someone's a hobby artist doesn't mean they don't have money. One of
Hmm.
my best, in fact, the guy who got my largest commission or my most expensive commission so far, he's a hobby artist. That's why he knew what was good.
Interesting.
You
Yeah.
know?
I
Yeah.
I always had this belief artists are not going to buy art, but I also have like the woman that bought the painting for 24K. The funny thing is,
Hmm.
when I asked her on the call if she would be interested in one of my pieces, she was kind of laughing and she showed me her drawings. She has like a whole
Hmm.
folder with her drawings, and I'm like, oh, she's an artist, she's not going to buy. But then she came back like 2 weeks later. She wrote me that she wants this piece, right, and ended up
Yeah.
into a sale for 24K. And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow. And there was another one as well, like just random talk. I didn't even know, and that was good. I didn't even know she's an artist because otherwise I would have a limiting belief that she's anyways not going to buy. So I will show up differently, but I didn't know it. And she bought a piece for 3,800. And then later
Mm.
it came out that she's an artist too. And I'm like, wow,
Yes.
so you never know,
Yeah.
right? Never judge people.
Well, but the thing is, artists would absolutely buy lots of art if they
Mhm.
have the money to do it, you
True.
know?
Hmm.
So if you have someone who's a hobby artist and already has another form of business that they do, either they have a job or they're an entrepreneur or whatever, but they do a little art on the side just to, for stress relief and stuff,
Yeah.
that's their ideal,
Hmm.
because they're already committed to art. They already know how art makes them feel, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
Absolutely.
you can't discount artists, but you also can't like, I don't know, tons of artists they just want to know all the techniques and stuff that you're doing
Hmm.
and stuff, and I kind of try to stay a little away from that unless you want to be an educator. If you want to teach people art, online, then great. Then definitely get into all of that. But
Yeah.
I kind of try to stay away from a little bit because I'm not as into that part of it.
And I guess like wait, like so in the caption, because you could say if you're making a reel with like your process and then you give some tips around how you did it and the technique, I'm guessing it would
Hmm.
attract more artists. But like
Yes.
if I think about if I would do Instagram now to sell art, because as I said, I
Hmm.
haven't sold art really on Instagram, but I would
Hmm.
include in my caption something about my ideal buyer, like my story, something
Oh
a bit
yeah.
more emotional and meaningful, right, that they can connect to, rather than technique
Yeah.
and medium and stuff. Yeah.
That's what I always do. I only
Hmm.
talk about the story.
Yeah.
Occasionally I will also talk like because they're process reels, I will also talk about things that were tricky for me, like just kind of including them in my journey with the
Hmm.
painting. Does that make sense? But
Yeah.
I'm not advising other people on what to do.
Hmm.
I'm just saying this part was really tricky, but I pulled it off. What do you think? Or I think I pulled it off. Do you think I pulled it off?
Hmm.
Like that kind of thing. But really, a lot of it is just I'm telling stories about because well, I mean, like we just talked about mindset for ages. Like I'm really into the kind of symbolism behind things. So
Hmm.
I like to talk about the different facets of, the different facets of a scene, or the different ideas that come up for me about that particular subject. Like sometimes clouds are symbolic of this, and sometimes they're symbolic of that. And,
Hmm.
those each one of those makes another caption, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it. Beautiful. I have like one, two last questions. The first one, you joined our community, and I would love to hear about your experience so far. I know you came in like already doing pretty well, but you're also
Yeah.
learning new things. So, like, what is just for the people that consider joining? Because we have a 7 day free trial till 30th of November, and I'm probably going to
Yes.
publish this interview on the 30th of November. So, only like the last day, basically. What
Mhm.
can you tell about the community? Like, what do you like about it, and can you recommend it for other artists too?
So there are a couple of things I really like about it. And the main thing that I really like is you guys have a lot of really good trainings, and they're trainings by people they're trainings made by people who have done the things, you know? So like Oliver, you have implemented your social media strategy, and for a while that was your complete living. You know what I mean? And Maria she has lots of experience licensing art, for instance. She has lots of experience doing email marketing. You guys are experienced at the things you do, and you have got really great trainings on how to do it. So I think that your membership is really perfect for a motivated artist who
Mhm.
is ready to go in there and show up and do the work and like go through the trainings and be ready to show up to the calls and ask questions. It is not, I would say that some artists are like, they kind of want to be handheld through it. And I wouldn't say that this is the best membership for that. I think that yours is you get an incredible amount of information. And if you show up to the calls and ask the questions, you can get an incredible amount of support for not really like, I just think it's amazing value for money. You know what I mean? Like, I just think. I think I'm getting so much out of this membership, and I'm really happy with it. I just want you to know that.
Nice,
Like
nice.
I'm learning a ton,
Thank you.
and there's stuff that
Yeah.
I like. I've been in this business for a while, and I've been getting lots of advice from other coaches and stuff. But this, you are filling in gaps that I couldn't find. I couldn't fill in other ways, and so it's been so cool to be able to talk to somebody who has done the thing that I want to do. And
Mhm.
I can learn directly from the person who has done the thing I want to do. I mean, that is priceless. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I love that. And it's like it's I learned this too. It's like one of my mindset mentors actually said that he said always learn from people that already have done it, because sometimes we take like actually I have to say I got advice from business coaches that never sold art, and I actually implemented them, but I needed to, put my own spices on top of it. And somehow
Hmm.
I made it work, right? But the fastest
Yeah.
way, in my opinion, to get where you want is to learn from people that actually have done it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But at the time, there might not have been anybody who had done that before when you were
exactly.
doing that.
Exactly. I didn't
So,
know
so
anyone.
you, yeah. So you found a tried and true test technique for other types of sales, and you
Hmm.
just tried it out in art, and then it worked, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're still learning from somebody who has done it before.
Hmm.
But, like, I started this, like, Maria had just written her Art Money Success book at the time that I got really serious with building my business. And I bought her book immediately at the beginning and read it. And it really, really changed my ideas about things. And it really,
Hmm.
really helped me. And so, like, I already knew that Maria was a great person to listen to, you know? And
Hmm.
so then to when I found out about this membership and I found out that you were in it as well and that you were teaching something that I absolutely wanted to know how to do. And I thought, "Oh my goodness. Yes. I want to do this." Like
Nice.
please, you are the person I can talk to about this particular thing. And
Yeah.
you've done it and you will tell me, and that's amazing. And I've been going through the social meeting training and it's like, "Oh my gosh, every question I had is answered. This is so awesome." So it's, if you're a motivated artist, this is a great deal, you
Mhm.
know? Um, if you want to be more handheld, I think you need to get over that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's like
We have
you
actually, I don't even know
Yeah.
if you know that because we're not really advertising it. We have like we have one-on-one coaching too, the Artist Accelerator program,
Oh, okay.
only
Yeah.
for
Well,
the
okay. Well, that'll work for them then.
exactly
Yeah.
only for our members though, right? It's like yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
because
All
some I
right.
on like some I'm actually like this. I don't do super well when I watch trainings. I like if I'm really if it's the exact training I needed, I'm gonna consuming it and consume it and do everything in there. But normally
Mm-hmm.
I do better with like one-on-one coaching because it's like
Got
you
you.
really can talk to the person. They tell you what to
Yeah.
do and solve your problem. So it yeah, so we do offer that too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Well, good. Yeah, that's great then.
Yeah.
But I found like just the normal membership has been awesome for me because I could just go through and do the trainings and then I show up to the calls and they're not like overwhelmed with people. You can always ask a
Mhm.
question. Like it's never been so busy that I couldn't ask a question. And you guys have spent a lot of time talking to me. I've only been in it a few weeks, so it's incredible. I feel like I've gained so much so fast, and that's been
Mhm.
great.
Beautiful. I love that. And also now we want to help you get to the next level. So maybe also tell people like what are you working on now? Like what is your next level?
Well, my next level is to double the prices of my paintings and to implement your social media strategy and start to sell them at that price. Because that selling originals is the thing that has worked the best for me so far. And so I want to scale that first before I want to work on, creating a Shopify website for prints and all that kind of thing. And I just want to get in there and get that working to start getting those really high level commissions because
Yeah.
I believe I can do it. Oh, and I did your manifestation course.
Mhm.
Your 4 hour manifestation course that's in there. Do you remember that?
Is it
It
mine?
was
Did I
like,
put it in
yeah,
there?
yeah, it's yours.
Oh,
It's in
okay.
it's in there. It's you
Oh,
put it in.
yeah.
It's something that you made a while ago. It was
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I did it and it really helped me get my head around the idea of doubling my prices because I was a bit intimidated about it at first. I had this
Oh.
huge goal, but I wasn't in the right headspace for it. And your manifestation course, I did that first, and now I'm doing the social media course. And so it sorted me right out. So I just really want to thank you for that.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I completely forgot that I put this in there, but yeah, that's amazing. And that's
It's really good.
yeah,
Like,
thank you. I
yeah.
that's just what helped me, right? I'm talking about this so much because it's really I like what the reason I made so much money so fast, like I started in 2020, right? And then like in
Hmm.
45 days, 26,000, and all I focused on is originals, but I raised my prices, and that was like a mental game because it's like
Yeah.
so many people, but that the good thing was I wasn't so consumed by the beliefs in the art world because I actually didn't know much about the art world. So I was able
Awesome.
to raise my prices and make stuff happen. But I needed to really work on the mindset, and manifestation helped me a lot with all of this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to do the mindset part first,
Yeah.
and then you're ready for the how to do it, you know? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
My coach, another thing that so his name is actually Kevin Trudeau. He was in prison for a while, so he has kind of like a bad name for some people. But I did his stuff. I really like. I've done his stuff for so long, again and again, and it really changed my life. And one thing that he said is that it's about 99% or 98% mindset. And he said, like,
Hmm.
if the mindset is not on point, and you do the how, you do a strategy, it's very likely not going to work if you don't have the right mindset. But he then said, if you have the right mindset, you know exactly what you want, you have a burning desire, you get excited about it, you believe you can do it, like you're really in
Hmm.
this perfect space and you have good supporting thoughts. Then he said, you can basically close your eyes and pick any strategy or any course and it will work. And that comes back to, like, I got a coach, a business coach that helped coaches with their coaching business, but not artists. He
Hmm.
never ever helped an artist. And so I just picked this guy. My mindset was completely on point because I went through all
Hmm.
this work, inner work of like claiming I'm a successful artist and truly believing it and feeling really good
Yeah.
about it. Right. So I was in this space and I got this coach and it worked really well for me. The funny thing, the coach, he then thought that's a great business idea. So he started coaching artists. And for a while it worked a little
Mm.
bit, but he stopped the whole business, by the way. So now he disappeared. That business doesn't work anymore, and like lots of unhappy clients. Um, but that's another story. But some
Hmm.
artists got results, but no one got nearly as much sales as I did, right? So I
Yes.
was also I was analyzing that, and I'm like, so he gives them the same strategy.
Hmm.
So what was it differently about me? And I'm not like, I mean, I think I love my art, right? So I love abstract art, and I would actually buy abstract art because it makes me feel something. But I would say, like, I'm not
Yeah.
the most talented artist, but I still made
Hmm.
it happen, and I sold so much art with a strategy that was not even tailored to artists, right? So that's when I
Yes.
connected the dots, and I'm like, mindset is extremely important. That's probably what got me there because I worked on the mindset part for quite a while, and then I was just
Yeah.
ready. I got a strategy, and I made it work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I do a podcast on mindset for
Yeah.
artists because I just
I have
think
to
I
listen
think
to
it's
it
the
too.
missing link. I think
Yeah.
it's the thing that people just I think once you get your mindset sorted out, everything gets infinitely easier.
Hmm.
And then when you allow things to be easy, then you start utilizing your strengths.
Hmm.
Like the easy path is the part that uses your natural, it's the path that uses your natural strengths.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be easy. All of this is supposed to be easy,
Yeah.
you know?
It's
And it's you just have to throw out, there's lots of sort of societal beliefs that you just have to throw out. And once you've got them out, then it's not really that hard actually, you
it's
know?
it's hard in the survival mode, right? When people operate from fear and anxiety, which like quite a lot of people actually live there, they don't even realize
Hmm.
it, and then they want to build
Yes.
something. They want to make their
Yeah.
passion a reality. They want to make an income from art, all these things, but they are like in the survival space, feeling anxiety and fear, and that's why it's hard, right? Not
Yes.
not
Yeah,
because the actual
exactly.
path is hard. It's just because the space you're in makes it really hard, even to think clearly, to implement things. You feel overwhelmed quite fast. So yeah, it
Yeah.
is very important. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like you just can't get there from there, you
yeah,
know? You literally can't. It's impossible. So that's
mhm,
why it feels hard because it's impossible.
yeah,
It's impossible because of the mindset that you're in.
yeah,
But if you can I think it's like stepping sideways, Like
mhm,
if you can just step sideways, two big steps, you might be right there on ready for the rocket.
mhm.
Maybe the rocket is just two steps away if you're just willing to step to the side and change your ideas a little bit, you know?
Exactly,
That's
exactly. I love
yeah.
that. So artists need mindset. Like if
Yes.
someone is getting triggered around mindset, maybe that's exactly what you need. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying it's the truth, but maybe, just to consider. Yeah.
I would say it absolutely is, and I don't mind
Yeah.
offending people about that. Like, I would say if you're triggered around mindset, that means it's hard for you, and I get it.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was pretty scary for me to do. That whole thing that I did with working on my mindset, it was terrifying and humbling, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, because
Who
you
wants to yeah.
you need to be honest. You need to look at your shadows, your limiting beliefs, your conditioning, maybe your past.
Yeah.
Like there's quite a lot of scary things you need to look at in order to change them, right?
Yes. Yeah. But the thing is that all of the reason those things are still existing in your mind is just because you don't have the skills to learn how to reframe them yet. That's all it is. It's
Hmm.
a matter of learning skills.
Yeah.
It's learning how to ride a bike. Once you've learned how to ride a bike, you always know how to ride a bike. You know what I mean? And I think that mindset things are a bit like that.
Yeah.
That once you learn how to reframe things, that's a skill that you're going to have forever. Once you learn how to let go and just like really genuinely let something go, that's a skill you're going to have forever,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
it's just a matter of learning some key skills that weren't taught at the right time. That's all it is. And
Hmm.
so then once you get them, things can really open up really quickly. It's like your area of greatest constriction is also your area of greatest potential growth.
Hmm.
Like it's like the constriction point. Like if you can solve that thing, it's going to open up the whole process. You know?
Hmm.
So it's an exciting thing actually if you can look at it that way. I guess I'm trying to help people reframe their problems, but like
Yeah.
if you look at it like, oh wow, if I sort this out, then everything could actually explode. Like it's almost like a slingshot been pulled back so far, and all you have to do is let it go, and then boom, out it
Yeah.
goes.
Exactly. And I love that you
Yeah.
say it's a skill because it is, we cannot see our thoughts and our, like it's, yeah, we cannot see our inner world in that sense,
Hmm.
but it's real and it's like business skills. It's still, it's
Yes.
skills, yeah, that you can
Yeah,
learn
they're
and then
just
you can get better
skills.
at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like learning how to have a gratitude practice, that's a skill.
Yeah.
Once you learn the skill of having a gratitude practice, you are armored from you have like got this suit of armor against that protects you from like everything in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like once you have a
100%.
gratitude practice,
Yeah.
you know?
I actually have I'm going to share this in the community because otherwise this call will be way too long. But I discovered a new tool, which is basically like
Hmm.
a mindset thing or a manifestation tool, let's say, and it's incredible. Like I've been spending half a day today and yesterday, like probably a few hours on the tool, and I'm like, it's crazy. I will share it in the community. I make a video about it, so that's
Okay.
going to be exciting.
I'm
And
excited.
one last question is like, what would you advise? Like, what would be your number one advice for a struggling artist that really, really wants to make it happen, especially like now coming into 2026?
So, the thing about when you're really struggling, that's because you have huge desire. Okay? Huge desire is an asset. So, first, think about it that way. You have a huge desire and it's not being met and it's causing you pain. But the desire is an asset. So, I think the easiest way to get around that is to start listening to positive mindset content for at least an hour a day. And I would say it can be whatever is a positive voice for you. It can be, there's lots of people out there, Tony Robbins. I love Abraham Hicks.
Hmm.
If you're more science oriented, Dr. Benjamin Hardy on YouTube is incredible. If Marissa Peer, she's wonderful. Let's see, who else there's lots of really, Wayne Dyer, there's lots of
Hmm.
really positive voices you can listen to. And the thing is that you just need a lot of positive mindset input to help you open up your mind to the idea that this can work, you know? And I think for me, I had to listen to at least an hour a day, and I would have my headphones in while I was washing dishes. I would be listening to it while I folded clothes. Obviously when I was with my kids, I couldn't, but if I was working out, I would listen to it as well. I'd be like listening to it while I'm, doing like riding on an exercise bike or something like that. And the more you can listen to that, the more it's going to start to change your inner conversation with yourself, and you're going to start to just get a bit more positive. And there's kind of like a point at which you start to tip over, like you've been really negative and you start getting more and more positive. And then when you get past that kind of 50% mark, then I really think that things just start to happen. Positive things start to happen in your life. And so that's my best advice at the moment, is that try to get your mindset into a more positive place by using lots of positive input. Okay. And whenever you're feeling bad, just switch on that positive stuff again, and it's going to make you feel better, and you can do it
Hmm.
while you're cleaning the bathroom. And then cleaning the bathroom will become this like, enriching, lovely experience, like you'd be so happy you took the time out to clean the bathroom because you got to listen to this really positive person the whole time, and when your head is in a more positive place, at that point, you are in a position to be able to receive the right tips and tricks that are going to serve you, you know? But I think that you've got to get yourself in a more positive place. Otherwise, you're going to be approaching the tips and tricks with an attitude of desperation, and they're not going to work for you, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So just, I would say listen to as much positive mindset content as you can.
Love that. I can confirm that. That's what I did for so many years, actually. Right? Like
Hmm.
literally every second I could find to listen to something positive, an audiobook, whatever, that
Yeah.
I used it. And it was like not enough to listen to 10, 15 minutes a day. I really needed a lot of input. And like you say, it's almost like
Yeah.
if you put so much positivity into your mind, on one point it starts becoming who you are. I mean, you start becoming more positive,
Yes.
right? It's like, yeah,
Hmm.
it's the same with food. It's like what you put in your body becomes your body, kind of like you can
Hmm.
get sick, you can get
Yes.
healthy, but the same with your mind too. Put good stuff into your mind, and then the
Hmm.
output of your mind will be good too.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you just need to do something to drown out the negativity.
Yeah.
It's like you can't stop doing it. You've just got to bring in something else that's going to take over.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you open the door for everything else. But I would really avoid the how to sell your art stuff. Because you're not going to do anything positive with it when you're in a bad mindset. You
And
really won't.
it can even be overwhelming. The how to do stuff can be overwhelming if you're not in a good space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can actually take the absolute best tip for you and dismiss it because you think it's not going to work
Yeah.
because you're in a
Yeah.
bad mind space,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
100%.
you got to get yourself into a good mindset first and foremost. And the main thing is that's going to help you feel so much better, like immediately. It's immediate, the payoff. And we need that. We need immediate payoffs.
Yeah.
It helps
Yeah.
us turn things around.
And also,
Yeah.
yeah, it improves everything, not just your art career, but everything, and life is becoming more fun as well, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And when you get yourself in a more positive space and you're generally feeling pretty good, you're generally feeling like things are probably going to work out for you, that's when you start finding out about the how.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But you got to let go of the how until you get yourself into a good headspace.
Yeah, and with that, another thing quickly is about like meeting people. When I felt really bad and I was in a bad mind space, it was almost impossible for me to meet people because I felt bad. I wanted to kind
Hmm.
of be alone and just sink into the ground, kind of, because my
Yeah.
mind was so negative. But when I became positive and I, started feeling better, that's when
Hmm.
it became easier meeting people and when it actually became fun. And that's how you sell art. Like in the end of the day,
Yes.
if I would break it down, it's if you want to sell your art, you have to build relationships. You have to meet people, if it's online, offline, or whatever, right? So the mindset
Yes.
part is going to be huge for that. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the essential ingredient. Like
Hmm.
you just can't get there without it,
Yeah.
and it's the thing you want to start with first, which
Yeah.
by the way, the if you ever talk to really like high level entrepreneurs and stuff and you ask them what is the thing that really makes the difference, they will all tell you your personal habits are the thing
Yeah.
that make the most difference to your success. And that comes right down to that mindset stuff. Do you make time to meditate? Do you listen to really positive mindset content? Do you write down your wins? That's another thing.
Hmm.
If you're gonna do anything, write down your wins because they're gonna help you feel good about yourself and write down every little thing, every little
Hmm.
win.
Hmm.
About art or not about art, doesn't matter. But what you're doing is you're focusing on the positive when you do that. And that will change things around for you very quickly as well.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you so much, Jenny. That was a great interview, quite long, but I hope people enjoyed and watched till the end. Um, I'll just put all your details in the description so they can find you, like your podcast, Instagram, and anything else you want me to put there. But
Okay,
yeah,
great.
thanks so much for coming. It was great. I loved it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's so fun to just geek out on mindset. This has been so great.
It turned out into a
You know?
mindset call for artists, right?
Yeah, every
Right.
every talk with me ends up like that.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was good. It was, and there were also some specifics, some how-tos as well, here and there, right? So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's
uh,
lots of specific tips and tricks with all of it,
exactly.
especially the mindset stuff. It's like
Yeah.
it's so fun to teach as well. I really like it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jenny,
okay.
and see you soon. Peace.
Okay. All right. See you soon.